Yeah. This is definitely written by an artist, like someone who went through this. I think most artists can relate to this journey.
I want to make movies, Dad.
Most Asian artists can relate to this journey. Aww, that's special.
That was something else, yo.
Yeah.
That is not the movie I was expecting at all.
Totally.
Oh, they're doing a silent disco.
Yeah.
मुझे यकीन हो गया है
क्या
कि तेजा का सोना तेरे पास है दरअसल
That went through a lot of feelings.
Yes.
Oh, it's written by Imtiaz Ali as well. See, I was like, this has to be written and directed by him. I didn't see that he wrote it until just now. I would imagine like this is a hard story to sell. Like, how do you sell the premise of a person is basically going through a Tyler Durden in his life to find out like what his true passion is, all because he got brokenhearted, and he like kind of goes off on the deep end to the point that it makes you uncomfortable.
Totally.
You know, and that's risky to me, but like it's cool that they went there. It's cool that they took those risks, because I was just like, yeah, I started cringing. I felt my like sphincter tighten up. I was just like, God, where is this going? I had no idea what the trajectory was at a certain point, you know, because you get sort of lost in the magic of it all. I guess she was like the gateway. I mean, at its core, it is like a traditional love story in a way, because she was the gateway to accessing the real him. Oftentimes, I feel like in real life, you don't really get that chance. I feel like in real life, you sort of have to find it on your own, and it's not often that a person grants you access to who you really are inside. It's more like you got to find yourself first, and then you get the girl.
Yeah, I think there's like a lot to extrapolate from this movie. I definitely didn't know where it was going when it took that turn. I was afraid that I didn't know what hole it was gonna come out of, and like what would be the ending, what was the point of the story. And I think that they wrapped it up excellently. The third act really was strong and kind of wrapped up all the confusion that I had in the first act with those first few scenes of you seeing this theatrical performance mixed with a child who's running to a storyteller who's clearly imaginative, and then cut to this romance that should have ended where it started, kind of, and it was built on lies. But I think that as an artist, I can really, really relate to this, and I think it is a hard story to tell, because we've all been maybe not exactly like that, but Alice in Wonderland is one of my favorite movies ever, because the idea of going mad before you find your sanity is really real for a lot of artists, and mixed with a muse. You know, a lot of artists do have their muse, and I think she was that muse in that sense to like really show him who he is. And I think that it was a hard watch for those few moments, but life is kind of like that. It gets really ugly sometimes.
Yeah.
And if you let the world tell you who you are, there is a day where you're like, who am I?
Yeah.
And that would cause a breakdown, quite literally. So it was a cool way of telling that story.
You know, they kept saying we'll tell each other lies, but I think that the word lie has a very strong negative connotation to it. And I think that a more appropriate phrase for me, this is just a me thing, would be make-believe. Playing, having fun, kind of like a stage play.
Totally.
You know? That's what they're doing, is they're recreating scenes with each other, and they're accessing each other through these other, films that they've watched.
But it wasn't necessarily a lie. Like, I wasn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it's make believe.
Yeah, they weren't they weren't saying their real names with a job. You know, they were like fully fantastical with it. So I agree.
When he had that outburst outside of her apartment, and he just started like having these sudden like yelling moments. Not a like, because like if I get mad, I'm just gonna be like at a 9 until I get calmed down or someone hugs me. Like if a girlfriend just hugs me or does other things. Like the anger will go away. What I'm saying is like I wouldn't like have these sudden bursts, because if a girl did that to me, I'd back away and I'd be like, we're gonna take a 5. This is a bit much for me because like you're acting cray. And so when he ran off, I was like, well, she dodged a bullet. If that's who he really is, she dodged a real big bullet because he's crazy. But then I was like, well, she's equally crazy because she keeps going after him and keeps trying to hold on to him. Maybe it's because she really saw someone that she believed in, because there was like this part of me that was asking if it was like Stockholm syndrome or some kind of weird shit that I didn't understand quite yet. She believed in him because she saw, from her perspective, she saw the real him and was just was fighting for that. And I'm like, I get that feeling. Well, oftentimes that doesn't work in real life though, okay? It's a fucking movie and we need to like stress that. It's a magical story.
Definitely want to harp on that. A lot of these things that I identify with, why I like the way they told the story is because it's a movie.
Yeah.
Movies reflect real life emotions, but not necessarily real life actions.
Yeah.
You can't act like that and expect that to stay. What I did pull from her character is that at least I sometimes when I was younger, especially in relationships, I had this